Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are going to talk about practicing objectivity. If one wants to achieve peace of mind, objectivity is very vital. By objectivity is meant a rational and objective approach towards life. Sometimes we are objective in our decision making, but most of the time our approach is emotional and sentimental. Emotions are important because they lend beauty to our relationships. But emotions have their dark and ugly side too. Rage, jealousy, despair, bitterness are some of the dark areas of our emotional lives. Similarly, lust, greed, and pessimism are negative emotions. When man is confronted with trying situations, that is, difficult situations, then negative emotions may distort one's judgment and lead him into more difficulties. Adopting an objective approach becomes absolutely necessary. For that, one has to train himself. When an emotional turmoil or an emotional storm seems to build up, then one should brace oneself up for the occasion. Negative emotions come into play when financial crisis or health problems or frustrations keep on disturbing one's life. The situation becomes worse compounded when those who are close to you also start facing multiple problems. This is the time to steel your nerves, collect yourself, and look at the difficult situation objectively. This is the time for trials and tribulations. God wants to see how you react. If you have strong faith, you would approach Him with all humility and seek His help. If your faith is weak, you stand on a slippery ground. You start complaining and sliding downwards. Instead of seeking help from the Creator, you start entertaining doubts and start thinking that God is bent on disgracing and humiliating you. This chasm, this gap between you and the Creator starts widening and may ultimately result in despair and loss of faith. In the Holy Quran, it is stated, but as for man, whenever his sustainer tries him by his generosity and by letting him enjoy a life of ease, he says, my sustainer has been generous towards me. Whereas whenever he tries, that is, God tries him by straightening his means of livelihood, he says, my sustainer has disgraced me. So, what is to be learned in this process and what is being taught? Actually, what must be kept in mind is that God doesn't want to harm you. He is simply testing you and also trying to build up in you an attitude of submission and surrender. He is also teaching you not to set any value on material prosperity, for in his estimate, all material possessions are transitory and temporary, and a strong attachment to material things goes contrary to spiritual growth. And now we look at this verse from Surah Al Hadith, rather two verses. Not of disaster befalls in the earth or in you, but it is in a book before we bring it into being. Lo, it is easy for Allah that you grieve not for the sake of that hath escaped you, nor yet exult because of that which has been given. Allah loves not all prideful boasters. In a nutshell, the message being conveyed is that the believers must resign themselves to God's will. They must learn to accept what God has destined for them is for their own good. Man must learn to accept that the merciful Creator has destined good for him. But when man refuses to accept God's destiny and starts rebelling and entertaining doubts about His mercy and munificence, his decline starts. Allah on the day of resurrection would address mankind, especially those who lost faith in Him. O man, what made you careless concerning your Lord, the bountiful? And again it is given, and they esteem not Allah as He had the right to be esteemed. Now, this attitude of detachment comes only with faith and patience, and these virtues can be developed by clear thinking and objectivity of approach. Faith is innate in man. This is the bond which unites him to his Creator, the architect of his being. This bond is at the root of all religions. However, if an estrangement takes place between man and God, then the gates of faith can reopen only if man undergoes an intimate experience with the divine. And what is that intimate experience? That is, you know that there have been many difficult situations in life where you called God to help and God responded. So you gain that insight. That is, you look at it from the objectively, you look at these things objectively, and then you practice by building up your faith and not losing it. Thank you very much. God bless you.